Welcome, everybody. We will try to take this time to reflect on the role of evidence synthesis in evidence-based practice and research. We will briefly put this relation in context. I will try to provide a categorization of the available reviews and also some sources and guidelines that are useful to perform systematic reviews and non-systematic reviews. We will discuss key points to choose what is the type of review that is suitable for your project, and we will share some conclusions. Well, I would like to ask you, what do you think are the common elements between evidence-based practice and research? Well, maybe you have couple in mind, but I would like to take your attention to think about the questions. And questions are the foundation of both fields. In the case of evidence-based practice, questions need to be answered to actually take decisions and do things. And in the case of research, you need to have really good and structured research questions, but most important, novel research questions. So to have answers to address these questions, they have another common element. The questions are answered in the scientific literature, but at the same time, that is a challenge because we know that we have a huge body of scientific articles, and every day that number is growing. And the other challenge is depending on your question, you will have different complexities in the information that you need to synthesize. You can think that when you are asking about the efficacy of a medication is more straightforward than when you are trying to answer a question about the impact of social health determinants in, for example, human health. That's why when we have challenges, usually we also have opportunities, and that's the case of evidence synthesis. Evidence synthesis field have been developing methods that help you to go through all these challenges and provide you a clear methodology to transform your efforts in information synthesis in scientific documents that can be published or not, but at the end are scientific documents that you can evaluate. At this point, I can present a categorization of what I try to classify as systematic reviews and non-systematic reviews, depending on the use of the concept systematic reviews on the title. When you find in literature articles that are named with systematic reviews, they share some aspects. These aspects are in general that they use systematic documented methods to minimize bias, random errors, and answer specific questions. Usually, these type of articles are referred to efficacy or effectiveness, but not exclusively to this. The other big group is non-systematic reviews. And you will see that these papers are called reviews, but without any reference to systematic in the title. Usually these reviews share also elements like they summarize literature on broad questions using less rigid but documented process. And at the end, we have a narrative review that usually that's something that everybody has been using for creating, for example, backgrounds in theses or projects. And there you usually go to perform a search just to support a particular point of view. That's why it's very subjective. And in general, you don't have to document the methods that you use. To have a better idea of what is a systematic review, so we have here 12 steps. You can see that everything starts with the research question. After you have to search for information, design a project, create a team, register that project as a protocol, implement a systematic search strategy. You have to go for the screening of all the results that you are getting, and the screening is compound but very different moments in the screening process. You have to go to the data extraction, and important, you have to go to quality assessment. That's very characteristic of systematic reviews. After that, you can synthesize, interpret, and publish your systematic review. When we see the reviews that are not named as systematic, you will see that they share many of the steps, but usually they don't take the step of quality assessment and interpretation of the evidence. Now, when we move to the narrative reviews, it is clear the difference because basically there you have an information need, you search for the information, and you can synthesize and publish. To have in mind some examples of systematic reviews, we have here about systematic reviews of randomized studies. This is maybe the most common and famous. And we also have systematic reviews on non-randomized studies or observational studies. As you see, all these type of reviews are named in the title like systematic review and are very specific. We have systematic reviews of diagnostic accuracy, prognostic factor, or prediction models. We have about etiology and prevalence of disease or any phenomenon. And recently, there is also guidance on the development of systematic reviews on qualitative evidence. What are the common elements? As I mentioned, they have a clear scope. You can understand it from the title. And usually, these systematic reviews work with original studies. The additional characteristic is they have statistical methods to provide a quantitative summary of the information that you are synthesizing. Now we move to the non-systematic reviews. So you can see from the titles of these works that the word systematic is not included. These are not all, but these are maybe most of the common non-systematic review that you can find. The first is scoping reviews. And here you are synthesizing information that can be original studies or secondary studies like reviews. And here the interest is to scope what is the available evidence about the topic of your interest. So it's basically also make a description. Mapping reviews are very similar to scoping reviews, but in mapping reviews, authors are committed to create a visual map that facilitates the identification of the gaps in the research. In the case of umbrella reviews, we have the synthesis of secondary studies, that means synthesis of systematic reviews or meta-analysis exclusively. And in rapid reviews, what we have is a difference in the methodology because you will find that is intended to respond urgent decisions in practice, so it's shorter the process. Regarding to methodological guidelines, you have here about Cochrane. Is an organization that provides a lot of guidance in the performance of systematic reviews. As I mentioned recently, they have also guidance on systematic reviews for qualitative evidence synthesis, but it's not the only source. We have also books. For example, this book is authored by one professor in-house, and we have plenty more books that can help you in organizations that give you guidance, as is the case of the Campbell collaboration for the social sciences, where you can find more tailored guidance if you are doing a systematic review in that field. In the case of the non-systematic reviews, for example, scoping reviews, the Joanna Briggs Institute provides guidance in the development of scoping reviews. So as I mentioned at this point, the important thing is how can I select the right methodology or type of review for my work? The first thing that you have to keep in mind is the aim or question that you are trying to address. And second is the evidence you need to synthesize. That means that are you interested in a more quantitative evidence or more qualitative type of evidence? And answering that question, you can also anticipate what type of analysis and information you want to deliver to your readers. Because If you are summarizing quantitative information, for sure, you can perform a meta-analysis. But if you are more interested in aspects that are classified as qualitative aspects, you will perform maybe systematic reviews without meta-analysis or a scoping review, mapping review. And last but really important is how much time do you have to perform the project. Usually systematic reviews take between months and years. So it is important to keep in mind the timeline of the project and your available time, and also the team that you have to support you in the conduction of these reviews, especially because in systematic reviews, the screening process requires at least one person doing everything by duplicate to ensure that no errors are done during the selection of the final articles. Because this is an important and common question, there is a website designed to try to guide you to navigate these type of reviews. There you can reflect on important questions about the project that you want to do. And at the end, you can also get some important references that can guide you in the design of your project. It's called Right Review. With this said, I would like to conclude with three major topics to take home. The first one is trying to create groups in the world of evidence synthesis. We can think in systematic reviews, non-systematic reviews, and narrative reviews. But these are not fixed categories. There are every day more and more type of reviews. And when we think about systematic and non-systematic reviews, they share methodological similarities, especially in the rigor of the literature search, which usually it is a systematic search. And regarding to the right type of review for your project, always think about the aim and question that you have in mind, the type of studies that you will synthesize, the type of analysis and information that you will deliver, and the human and time sources that you have at hand. If you are interested in this topic and you are planning to do something for publication or even for supporting the creation of a grant or a novel project, please contact us. And you can also visit our website to have more sources. At the end, you will find some slides with the references, and it's time to discuss some questions and receive some comments.